These are the different levels of predators. Occasionally I see a post on Facebook that says predators aren't just people who kidnap children, they're also 24-year-olds who bang 17-year-olds. Obviously, one of these is way less forgivable than the other. There are 6 total levels, and they get worse as they go on. I'll talk about each one and give examples of who fits each level. Level 1 is the most common. We're looking at Tyga, Josh Giddey, Adam 22. This is somebody who cheats in every relationship, who enjoys having sex with someone who's taken. They'll lead you on, and they like barely legal women. I guess you could say this is a legal predator. Somebody like Josh or Adam might have sex with the 17-year-old because they like the danger, getting off on doing something that's wrong. Maybe they're doing it to feel young again, like they're fixated on their high school years. One thing I notice about predators, they're usually fixated on their youth. Maybe they had a rough upbringing and they want to relive their childhood or teenage years. You could see that with Adam hanging out with Lil Pump and joining his tour. A lot of times they're late bloomers who are delayed in some type of way, whether it's physically or mentally. They might like kids because they think like one. R. Kelly has the reading ability of a 6-year-old. He's a few levels down. But not every late bloomer with a rough life is a predator. In fact, most of them probably aren't. A level 1 predator can be rehabilitated sometimes. Being caught up might be enough to scare them. Level 2 predators is where it gets a little scary. Obviously, level 2 has all the same problems as level 1, but these guys are willing to break the law to risk prison, having sex with someone who is intoxicated, and solicit nude pictures from minors. A level 2 can socialize with a victim as young as 13, and as you can guess, VM fits into this category as he unapologetically hits on high schoolers, was caught exposing himself to a child, and is currently on trial for lewd and lascivious. These predators are liars. They're not going to admit that they like kids, and why would they? It's incriminating. They'll flip it on the victim saying, "Oh, she lied about her age," or "Oh, I was drunk too." VM lies about everything, saying he gets recognized by people, that he's made millions from music. With compulsive liars, it's hard to tell if they're trying to be funny or if they're just super delusional.
Yo, I'm in the private jet right now, y'all. Got all this room, I'm in the private jet, I'm about to take off. I was like the most popular kid in middle school, so skateboarding, had all the females.
He definitely has a fixation for his childhood. In an interview, he said that he was the coolest guy in middle school. That era in his life is fresh in his mind, and he thinks about it a lot. He hangs out with kids, teenagers, is dating a teenager. Of course, he's stunted mentally, having a tough time conversating with people his age. Level 3 predators. You might have heard that Danny Masterson had sex with a woman while she was asleep, and when she woke up, he smacked her. And there was another woman he allegedly forced himself onto while she was passed out. He got sentenced to over 20 years.
Why are you asking people to do that? That's the more important question.
I mean, you got them.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Accent aside,
Everybody should grab.
That's the more important thing.
Exactly.
I've heard about you. And you'll be caught soon. I know you will.
I will.
You give these guys big sentences because this behavior is not curable or redeemable. A lot of people think that he's innocent. He's a charismatic guy. Sociopaths and psychopaths often have likable personalities. Clearly, he doesn't feel guilty about what he does like a normal person would. That's the problem. Earlier I mentioned your upbringing can influence you to be a predator, but at this point, it's hereditary. You can't teach somebody to enjoy pain. What makes level 3 distinct from 2 is they get off on someone's pain. If someone's screaming stop, they'll keep going. They get off on it. Lil Mar is another example. He went to prison after forcing himself on a 14-year-old with another guy. Mar is very fixated on his childhood, listening to Never Say Never in his truck, having a SpongeBob tattoo. He definitely relives his childhood as much as he can. But usually level 3 draws the line with prepubescent kids, and that brings us to level 4. These are guys who like kids as young as 8 years old, prepubescent, not even knowing what sex is or barely knowing what it is. For these guys to get what they want, they'll become priests, teachers, entertainers, whatever gives them access to kids, they'll do it. Some even go to foreign countries posing as a humanitarian, really two-faced people that have different personas. SPM was caught touching a 9-year-old. R. Kelly had victims in middle school who he'd do humiliating things to, like urinate on them and abuse them. I'd put Davi Vanity in this category. Unfortunately, he's still free, but earlier I mentioned late bloomers who are delayed mentally, physically, and are fixated on their childhood, and Davi has all of that. His former bandmate was around 7 or 8 years younger than him and was only 15 when they met. In Davi's mid-20s, he was still living with his parents, hanging out with teenagers. He didn't know how to do basic things like mail t-shirts. Most people assumed he was younger because of how he acted, delayed mentally. Davi said that he lost his virginity at 19. The way he aggressively pursued hundreds of high school age girls might be him trying to compensate for lost time. He's trying to relive what he didn't experience or what he felt like he should have experienced. His youngest victim was 11, by the way. The fixation on his childhood is definitely there, him being interested in Hello Kitty and using a children's toothbrush.
I'm Ellie. And we're parking at Wood Tour 2011. And we're gonna have sex.
Level 5 is Ian Watkins. He went to jail for having sex with babies, doing things like blowing crystal meth in their face, hoping it would stunt their development. Really evil, terrible person. His hard drive was full of pornography, including toddlers, animals, and just rape in general. Very two-faced guy. Obviously, he kept his behavior a secret from the public, but Ian wasn't a late bloomer or mentally stunted. He was actually very popular growing up and had above-average grades. A smart guy who just emulated what was popular in music, figuring out what works, what image works, using his position of power to get access to underage girls. In his interviews, he doesn't come off as likable. You get this vibe that he's saying what he thinks people want to hear.
I believe this is Grand Central Terminal is a perfect location to people watch.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here.
What would you say to people who call this hobby creepy and weird?
The usual people who call it creepy, call it weird, are people who haven't actually had the pleasure of actually spending a day watching people.
So we've covered people watching.
Yeah.
Now,
Really creepy hearing him talk. Ian didn't have a lot of close relationships with people. Obviously, he has no ability to sympathize. His friendships were superficial. People have a tough time believing that his bandmates weren't close to him, even though they lived in different countries. The people who knew him well were women because he was trying to take advantage of them, trying to get access to their daughters. The image he portrayed, like how he looked, was very different from his mugshot. He had gray hair and a chopper beard. Previously, he had an emo haircut because it was popular at the time and he was trying to look innocent. The final level are necrophiliacs. Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, Rob Schneider. Nah, he's cool. But this is someone who likes to kill people and have sex with their bodies. There was a teenager in West Denver who kidnapped a little girl walking to the bus. He cut her up and ditched her body in the mountains, still had parts of her body in his attic. They connected the murders to him because the police found a cross inside her body. His neighbor noticed it was the cross he used to wear. The police questioned him and let him go. It was his mom who figured it out because when he was little, he was caught watching gore porn, just gore videos in general. On a side note, I don't think porn makes you a pervert. I think perverts just really like porn. You show gore porn to the average person, they're not going to turn into a necrophiliac. His mom made him confess to the police.
I don't exactly get why you're asking these questions. I murdered Jessica Ridgway. Okay. I have proof that I did it. There is no other question. You just have to send a squad car, something down here, and I will answer all the questions that you want to ask, or anyone wants to ask of me as soon as you got to get down here.
Okay. Austin, I have a police officer that's going to come over to your house, okay? Can you tell me what part of the house that her remains are in?
Underneath the house and across this.
Okay, did you know Jessica before this?
No. I did not.
The cops couldn't believe it because he sounded so young, almost like a woman, really unsuspecting. Obviously, Ted Bundy was charismatic and at the time convinced people he was innocent. He didn't feel guilty about what he did because he's not wired like a regular person.
Working hard on my case. Need a lot more sun and a lot more fresh air, but other than that, I'm doing okay.
Do you get fresh air, sun? Do you get out?
Well, I get to go to the library. It's a 50-yard walk from here across.
Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys like this one. Let me know what level you are in the comments. Shout out to Born Banks for this thumbnail. I'm out.